Do you sometimes wonder how you could truly have an impact when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging? How do you know you are moving in the right direction when it comes to becoming a more inclusive individual? As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod brings topics such as ethnicity, genders, sexuality, or religion on the table. We talk about research and science, but also emotions, feelings, and vulnerability. We discuss allyship, advocacy, and privilege. But most importantly, we talk action. Because without action, we stay still. And when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, stillness is never the answer. Welcome to As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod.
In this episode of As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod, I have the pleasure to welcome award-winning entrepreneur Luke Murfitt, CEO of Integrity Cleaning, a company which specializes in new build construction cleaning. In January 2018, Luke Murfitt had no job, no prospects, and no profile. Despite Parkinson's disease, he won the UK Entrepreneur of the Year at the UK Business Awards. Luke is the Global Ambassador for Awards International and has become a sought-after keynote speaker, once heard, never forgotten. Luke has launched a company that boasts clients such as The Shard, Amazon, Galliard Homes, and multiple leading construction companies. He saved money by paying his workers more and helped over 140 mothers back into work. In 2019, he grew his business by 650%, doubled it during the lockdown, and is set to more than double it again. Through his inspirational journey, Luke talks business, his story, and the realization that changed his life. Welcome to another episode of As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod. Luke, welcome. Welcome so much on As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod. How are you doing?
Well, I'm really happy to be part of this, actually. Thank you, Julian, for inviting me. And, what you're talking about and the topics is important. So happy to be part of it. Doing well, thank you.
And I'm glad you accepted. I think it's going to be a lovely conversation. I can't wait to hear more about your story and everything you're doing. And actually, that's what I'm going to start with. Actually, first question for you: what's your story?
What is my story? Well, I mean, let's take it back a bit. So, 2015, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I was doing quite well in working in the city of London for a bank. Diagnosed, released from the company, and so I went self-employed. That was a bit tough, doing the same thing, and so eventually I was sent to a job centre. And in 2018 January, I was standing in a job centre, queuing up for what should be benefits. And I went into the job centre and I said, I don't want benefits, thank you. I would rather start a company. They looked at me and thought, could I really do that? And I said, I want to employ the people downstairs who are queuing up for jobs. And I pointed over to the London district, Canary Wharf, and I said, I want to clean those buildings. The challenges that were set before me, no profile, the need to earn and so on, was looming over me. But within 9 months, I was actually cleaning 7 skyscrapers in London. And the story just went on from there. And after within a year and a half of that, I was nominated for the UK Business Awards, national awards as Entrepreneur of the Year, and I won the UK Entrepreneur of the Year. And that is a bit of a nutshell of sort of what's been a whirlwind of business and helping many people into work. My company is a cleaning company. We specialise in construction cleaning. We're called Integrity Cleaning. That's very important to me, the way that we do business. It's a large sector in any country, cleaning. 33,000 cleaning companies in the UK, for example. So it was a task I was willing to take on to try and introduce a cleaning company with integrity, one that's actually separated itself from the norm and excelled. And of course we have, and we've been growing and growing ever since. It's been a fantastic journey so far.
So you say kind of separated from the norm. What does that mean to you? What is it that you're trying to achieve for the community?
Yeah, well, I mean, so in the UK, there's about 720,000 cleaners. It's an industry which is generally not respected very much by anybody. It's low pay, low wages, low respect. They're essentially doing the worst jobs that you can think of, and often treated that way. And I thought, how can I make a difference and an impact to actually bring integrity back into the business, into the industry? The first thing I noticed is that integrity was missing, and so I wanted to make that the core into my culture and mission. And so we called ourselves Integrity Cleaning. So, as I say, you know, they receive minimum wage often, and long hours or unsociable hours. Often not actually well, just treated with respect. And so I really shook that up and decided to treat my cleaners and operatives with respect, huge amount, paying them well, working around the families and the need to earn, and the rest followed on. Really, we ended up getting great workforce and people who have been able to contribute towards making Integrity Cleaning such a great company, and we've been able to serve some of the largest companies, you know, we can that are in the high street and so on, whether it's a Tesco, Sainsbury's. We clean Amazon distribution centres. We've done the Shard skyscraper, the Heron Tower, which is the second largest building in London. Universities, hospitals. It's been a great story. And as I say, we've only been going 3.5 years.
And it sounds like you're doing a great job. I mean, as you mentioned, diagnosed with Parkinson, then you're at the job center, and then a few years later, UK Entrepreneur of the Year, which is, I think, an amazing recognition to get. What I was wondering is how did your kind of uniqueness and your own experience as an individual help you to get where you are right now?
Yes, well, there's certain things that make me up who I am. I was brought up in a family, so you learn to respect each other and look after each other. I was brought up to be hospitable to people. I was brought up to not look down on people. These factors helped me to become who I am. We would often, you know, feed the homeless and things like that, front door, you know, and so on. I was brought up in a Christian family, so as a Christian family, obviously the morals and ethics and culture that comes along with that, very important to me, and still is now, practicing Christian family. And you know, to treat other people as more important than ourselves. So that's part of it. On top of that, obviously, well, I've done work in Kenya, working with street children for 6 months, and I've been to Kosovo, Macedonia, feeding, helping widows and orphans out there. So that teaches you that actually there's people in great need, and not to just look at yourself and your own issues. So when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at age 34, it was a shock to a degree, but it was a challenge I was willing to take on. I learned that actually what should slow you down and hold you back actually has sped me up and propelled me forwards. Yeah.
Oh, it's very nice to hear that. And I read, I think it was on your LinkedIn wall, there was a quote from you that I really loved, and it said something in the lines of a person who is appreciated or who feels appreciated will always do more than what is expected.
Absolutely.
How do you create that culture of inclusion and belonging and appreciation in the work you do and with your employees and the people you work with? Yeah.
The thing is, with cleaning, for example, in any service-driven thing with labour, someone has a choice. They'll receive an hourly wage, irrespective of what they do, pretty much, unless you sack them. And so, therefore, they have a choice in my industry to clean. So you can imagine if they're scrubbing, they can scrub like this, or they can scrub like this. They have a choice every day, you know, at what speed. And the speed then helps me as a business with productivity and efficiency and so on. So what I did was I reversed it around, and I've found that what people, wages will only keep people going for so long. Actually, what we're looking for in life is to be respected, treated as humans, treated as normal equals. I may be the owner of a company. I may have more opportunities than them or whatever, but it doesn't make me any better than them. We're all the same at the end of the day. When 5 p.m. comes, or whatever time they finish, we are all equal. We all have families to go home to, and as I say, there's no difference whether they're a cleaner, whether they're an MD, or whatever. So I don't call them cleaners anyway. I call them by their name. The first thing I do is I say, "You're not a cleaner. You are," and then whatever the name is. So that's a great thing that helps us. And they sometimes say to me, they say, "Luke, you're the first person who's ever said that to me," and that's lovely to know that actually they recognise that we respect them. And as a consequence, they reciprocate that. They reciprocate that kindness and the way that we actually want the best for them. And so when they feel respected, they're going to work harder for you. When they work harder, you end up getting clients more happy. When you get clients that are more happy, they're more likely to recommend you, give you bigger jobs, longer jobs, usually more willing to pay your invoices on time, more willing to pay your quotes and things. It saves you having to shave your prices down so much that you can't even afford to deliver a good service. And it just ripples on, and it all starts with respect.
And I love that you're finishing this question with the word respect, because I think that's a keyword that keeps coming back, especially when we talk about diversity and inclusion all the time, amongst many other words that are important there. But I think respect is one of the ones that we always hear, actually. And thank you for making it very clear. I think that's an important thing to think about. I wanted to just come back a little bit, because I think one of the things we like to do, what I like to do as part of this podcast as well, is to understand a little bit more what are some of these kind of concrete actions that we can do either as individuals or as organizations. And I think you have something very unique that many other guests that I've had haven't been through as an experience, and it's about being diagnosed with Parkinson. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more, because you took that decision to actually go and set up your own business, but I imagine many people out there are in full-time jobs as well, or might be wanting to be in full-time job and might be struggling as well. How do organizations ensure that they include individuals that are similarly diagnosed?
Yeah, I mean, largely if someone has Parkinson's, they don't work. And if they do, they don't normally run a company. Because there's so many challenges with Parkinson's. It's it's probably over 50 side effects every day. So it's so how do companies? Well, I mean, I think sometimes they want to help people, but they don't know how to. My clients don't normally realize I've got Parkinson's at first. Sometimes they don't know at all, actually. It depends how I am through the day and at what point they see me. Sometimes I have to explain, because obviously it looks a bit strange sometimes, but other times they don't know, they don't need to know, but they'll find out eventually, I suppose. But I think my company's called Integrity Cleaning, and it's a good one straight away for them to realize that actually we've thought about what we do and how we do it. We are inclusive of all people. I don't take someone on based on who they are, but actually what they are in terms of who they can be, if that makes sense, and can they deliver the service for us, and do they have a need. I think companies, I mean, within my company, for example, we work with, over the last 2.5 years, we've helped about 250 cleaners back into work, which is obviously, quite a number. Most of these people are, about half of them are Eastern European, a third of them or more are African, or from, Caribbean sort of way, and then a small number are just white British. So we are diverse all the way through, massive cultures and so on, and backgrounds. And so we are entering their business. And I think one thing that speaks volumes is not actually what I can tell my client. It's actually the way they see me treat my people. I go there, we talk to them, we show up, as the boss, I show up. And I talk to them on their level. We're quite happy to help them carry something, whatever. We don't sort of think, just treat them like a slave or something. And they see the way we treat people. I don't rise to arguments. I don't talk down to people or about people, trying to gossip. And we watch our words carefully. So we are, my company focuses on construction cleaning, as I say, so we're largely on construction sites, and the language can be quite, interesting. But I don't do that. That's part of my faith as well. I don't swear. But so I think the whole thing just shows a level of integrity all the way through. And I've found that actually when you're willing to not raise the debate and sort of set a certain level, people who perhaps would otherwise come across as someone that you wouldn't want to associate with can actually have a lovely side in them. And I've found with Parkinson's, for example, or disability, it brings out the best in many people because it lowers down their need to be above you, to show their normal negative side or something if someone isn't such a nice person. It's amazing how actually their sensitivity comes out and the person that they want to be actually comes out. It's quite interesting because they see, obviously, you're not going to, if the way I'm looking or the way I can walk or can't walk or whatever means that I'm not as strong and powerful to be able to, present that side. But what I can do is show kindness, love, compassion, and respect. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, you mentioned, and I think we'll go a little bit more about it as well, because I think there's an initiative you've launched, which I'd love to hear more about. But before we get there, you talked about the number of people you've brought back to work. What are some of the advantages you found from focusing on these community? You mentioned at the very beginning, actually, when you were at the job center, saying, I want to hire these people that are downstairs queuing for a job as well. How's that made a difference to your business becoming successful?
Sure. Well, I did my research. I didn't just start a cleaning company like that. I spent about 4 months researching the whole industry. One thing I realized was the biggest issue with the cleaning companies and many service-led companies is personnel. So someone will get clients, they'll then look for people to work, and it goes like that. And they're always on the back foot, and inevitably they let their client down because they can't find enough people or the right people to serve the client. So I wanted to reverse that. So what I did was, to start my company, I found cleaners first. Okay, and I want mothers back into work because I realized that they have a great thing to offer. So I went out. I was actually in my daughter's primary school playground, waiting for them to come out of the class at the end of the day, and I ended up speaking to 9 mothers and recognizing that they wanted work, needed work, couldn't work out how to find it, and I said, look, if I get you a cleaning job, would you be interested to work for me? They said yes. So my company now had 9 cleaners. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Then I was able to go and cold call companies and say, this is Integrity Cleaning. We have 9 people, and within 2 weeks of my company starting, I got a contract with a hotel of 100 hours cleaning every week. I got 9 people into work. So I've always been one step ahead. We have the right people, then we get the right clients. And when we get offered a large job, say with an Amazon distribution center, which they're just building, and they want us to clean up towards the back end, many hours, many days, over several weeks, I've got the people, and that's how it worked really. And I never put a job advert out or anything. The right people come to us.
And so you mentioned this initiative, Mothers Back at Work. Is that something you're still doing at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. We support mothers back into work. fathers as well, but obviously mothers are predominantly in more position because they have children. The children go to school and then they end up find themselves at home, lost a lot of motivation and belief to be able to get back into work, and it just spirals a bit for them. So we like to give them the opportunity to get back into work. We're flexible around their school pickups, maybe we're flexible around their, if they've got a school play that they need to be at, or the child's sick, you know, we don't sort of say you either come to work or you can clear off. We have people in place that can actually step in to cover each other. We pay them more. We typically pay between 25 to 30% more than the industry rate, which is an interesting theory because the cleaning industry normally makes about 20% profit. So if I'm offering 25 to 30%, then you may be thinking, how do I manage that? But that's because we charge more, but I get my cleaners to actually deliver more. So we end up with the right profit margins again. We help them with finances if they can't afford to get some construction site boots, or maybe they need paying more frequently to help them with their finances and cash flow, or transportation will help them with that sort of thing. All sorts of things. We're quite fluid in that. And you know, once you start the ball rolling, not rather than taking someone on who works for you and letting them prove to you how good they are, I try and prove to them how good we are. It's a reverse, really. And to be honest, when they find that Integrity Cleaning, that Luke Murfitt, myself, that my managing director who works for me, Darren, and other people within the company treat them well, they want to treat us well and treat our clients well, and everything ends up very nice.
Amazing. I have to say, I did a little bit of my research as well, and I clearly had a look at your wall on LinkedIn, and there was another quote that I really liked. Actually, I think that one was coming from a video that you sent, which is a very, very inspirational video, I think, and whoever is listening should go and check it out. I'll put the link as well in the notes of the podcast. But it says, it said, I want to help my physical pain, past and present, to help build a future for others.
Yes.
What's the future? What's helping building a future for others?
Yeah.
What I'm curious about actually is what's next for you.
Sure. The future is their future, and the future is whatever they want it to be. There's never let any diagnosis or any label hold you back. If you put your mind to anything, you can become it. What we want to be at Integrity Cleaning is, I recognize that people are not born to be cleaners. They resort to being cleaners. And so we want to try and make that as comfortable for them as possible, an environment where they can actually flourish, earn well, but also move on. I don't want them to be cleaners forevermore. And so we had one lady who started with me a few weeks ago called Laurie, and she's basically working for us 5 days a week. She's also she's starting a business and management degree course over 3 years on weekends. I would like her to pass that and to move on, or she can move on within the company into management. So we have another lady. I remember one time when I was at a train station myself, I was not feeling great with the Parkinsons, I wasn't walking very well and all that stuff, and all I wanted to do was really get home. But I saw this lady carrying a child on her back. She was an African lady, you know, with a wraparound thing. She had another child toddler crying, and she was trying to pull this thing with food that she bought. So I said, can I take your child up the steps and help you with that? So I carried the child crying. Then I realized that they lived quite a little way away and she was going to walk from there. So I offered to give her a lift home, much to her delight. In the journey driving to her house with the children in the car, I said to her, where do you work? And she said, no. She said, I can't get to work at the moment. And on the back of that, before we got to her house, she had a job as a cleaner for my company. She was then able to prove to the council that she can earn. She was then given a house rather than a temporary accommodation, which she'd been stuck in for 4 years. She's now, a year and a half later, she became a healthcare assistant, which is what she's really wanted to do for years. So she's used us as a stepping stone, which I love. So it's little stories like this which make me happy to be able to help other people. So that's the mothers back into work sort of thing. That's how we try and work it. But if they want to stay with us, we can as well. And it's lovely either way.
Hmm. And you mentioned at the beginning now about not to be defined by a diagnosis or a label, which I think is a great piece of advice. If you had one thing to share for the person on the other side who is interacting with people who might have been diagnosed, for example, or might be sometimes seen as too easily labeled, what would you say to these people on the other side? What is one piece of advice you would want to give them?
Dream big, and every day wake up and chase it. But the same goes for dreaming for other people's dreams, and realizing that we're not the center of the universe. Being a Christian helps me to realize that. And as soon as you start realizing that, you don't then make your decisions around yourself. You make it around other people, about what you can give to other people. When you treat other people and you see other people's dreams, ambitions, and hardships, and you can use what you have to be able to help other people, that's very special. So to realize that people have weaknesses, but also to help them to turn their weaknesses into strength, and to see how they can actually overcome those. Sometimes all they need is a stepping stone or help. They need a bit of compassion, a bit of an opportunity, but they also need to be inspired. They need lead by example, and they also need to, I think, just be told that they can do it if they put their mind to it. To wake up every day, as I say, I mean, when I wake up, let me just tell you a little bit about myself so you understand. When I wake up in a lot of pain. I'm frozen, my fingers are cold, my teeth are stuck to my lips. I feel like I've been in a car crash, And so it takes a lot of determination, a lot of effort to basically break through that. It'd be a lot easier just to keep still and stay in bed, but it takes me 15 minutes to break out of that shell and to make my way to my bedroom door every morning. And those 7 steps from my bed to my bedroom door get easier and easier. And by the time I reach my bedroom door, I feel like I won a national award every morning. On the back of that, you can walk into a skyscraper or a shard, like the Shard, ask them for the business, and you get it. And so the thing is, I'm not a special human being. Everyone has the ability to do what I've done, maybe even more ability because they perhaps don't have disability to stop them actually moving. But what I've managed to do is use Parkinson's, which is actually a weakness in many people's eyes, and turn that into strength. And I use that to motivate me and motivate other people around me. As a consequence, I feel blessed that I have amazing people around me who help me to achieve what I want to achieve, and I want to help other people to achieve what they want to achieve. That's my morning every day.
And it's I think a beautiful end to our discussion, and thank you. I'm sure there are a number of people who are very blessed to have you around them as well, and some of these stories that you shared. So thank you very much for everything you're doing as well. Last question I want to ask you, because I'm sure people would love to maybe learn more about you and what you're doing in your business. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, there's obviously, if they look me up on LinkedIn, Luke Murfitt, then that's obviously one fantastic way. My website is integritycleaning.co.uk, it's that's obviously, I think LinkedIn is pretty much the best way. Come and connect up, and let's follow each other, see what we're doing. But I hope that the message of being determined, having faith, thinking about other people, what we can do to help other people, accepting one another, and really believing that that you can achieve great things. But as I say, dream big, and then wake up and chase them every day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Very, very warm thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing all the great things that you're doing and how it's moving forward, and hopefully next award as well.
That's right. Thank you so much, Julian. God bless you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at As Diverse as Two Peas in a Pod. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.